Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return once more with even more of our F1 22 Manager career mode. Yesterday we are back for the first of two home races for Ferrari, and that only really means one thing. Two opportunities this season for us to mess it up at some point. But of course, if you missed out on the video that went live last night from Albert Park, definitely recommend going back and watching it out. By far and away, the most insane race I might ever get on F1 Manager. So yeah, if that doesn't get you to go back and check that one out, I don't think anything will there. The closest ever finish in Formula 1. But today, though, like I said, we head back to the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix here from the iconic Imola, of course, named after Enzo Ferrari himself. Of course, the old man back at the top of Ferrari throughout, well, most of the 20th century. But yeah, this weekend, though, we have actually got a few other exciting things to jump into before we get into the Imola race weekend, including some new regulation votes that we've had an email through in our inbox regarding. So we've got minor technical changes then heading into next season. With the goals in mind, we're proposing minor technical changes to 2023. These proposed regulation changes will impact many areas of the car's aerodynamics with a focus on reducing overall downforce generated and maximum cornering speed. So the minor technical regulation will reduce all teams' design expertise regarding the affected car parts. This will impact all teams regardless of their car's strengths and weaknesses. So please vote with consideration to the fairness and future of Formula 1 as a whole. Now, I love the fact they say that. You know, you've got to try and vote for the fairness of F1. Every team, of course, is just going to vote for what's going to suit them the best. And I think for us, that is going to be low-speed downforce changes there. We've got a very, very good car at the high end there. It is just seems to be the lower speed corners we struggle just a little bit more. So we're going to vote for low speed downforce changes, if I can get my words out. Any other emails that have come through exciting? Of course, we've just got an update from the F1.com website. And then also, finally, we have got our new race simulator up and running there. So that's going to help the team and the drivers really sort of improve heading into each weekend there. The board are also very, very happy with us. So things are looking good at the start of F1 Manager. Now, in terms then of developments, can we try? We can't still design any new parts at the moment. Of course, we have still got a lot of things currently ongoing there. So you can see we've still got the new front wing and the new underfloor, which should hopefully help us out. Don't think we need to manufacture anything more, though, at the moment either. You know, we're looking pretty good on both of the cars. I think, yeah, we're looking pretty tidy on everything there. So I think, yeah, we are basically just ready to get in towards the Emilia-Romagna GP weekend. Don't think we can do any more driver perks or anything like that. We have got one development point we can pop on Antonio Giovinazzi, so we'll give him some slightly better defending. I've got no intention of bringing Giovinazzi into the team, however. I think if we were going to hire, we'd certainly hire someone else. But yeah, everything's looking pretty good at the moment. Of course, we have still got another couple of facility upgrades down the line, so I guess it's probably worth just jumping into it then. Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, let's get into free practice. Well, quickly then, before we jump into that, we have had the minor technical regulations confirmed, and they have voted against us. So it was only us, Alpine, Williams, and Alfa Romeo that voted for lower speed. So they have confirmed it will be high-speed downforce changes, which again, you can understand why, you know, the likes of your Red Bulls and Mercedes have voted that way to try and nerf us a little bit. We've also got new car parts unlocked, so we can try and... We're going to have to focus on trying to design new parts at some point this year, but this weekend it's going to be interesting to see how close Red Bull are to ourselves. Let's get into it, though, like I said, ready for free practice.
The hills of Tuscany are green to the south, but here in Imola the air is red hot. Welcome to Ferrari's turf for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. The track has been around since the 60s, but the first official Formula 1 race was held here in 1980. Let's see what excitement lies ahead this year. This is Imola, and it's an old school track with plenty of elevation changes and lots of corners. There's only one DRS zone here, but it follows the long straight right before Tamburello, and should see plenty of action. We might still be early in the season, but that doesn't mean we can sit back and relax. Everything is up for grabs, and nothing is certain at this stage. There's nothing like a race weekend in Formula 1.
Right, well, here we are then, Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. Looks like, again, it should be another dry weekend there. Of course, I am waiting for the first time we get some changeable conditions here on F1 Manager. But in terms, though, of Imola, like I said, I think this track might suit Red Bull's car a whole lot more than any of the first 3 races have this season. Practice 1 preparation, though, we're going to try and keep it sort of fairly similar at this early stage of the year. You know, clearly it's working for us, just sort of letting the drivers go out on long runs and tweak their setups. In terms of wings, though, we certainly want a lot of wing around this circuit. And then, of course, yeah, we'd like to go quite high on the ARD. We're a long way off in terms of traction, though. How can I try and fix that? Oh, there we go. So we're going to have to run a lot more, actually, the other way this weekend. We'll try that on Leclerc's car. We'll try a couple of different bits and pieces over on Carlos Sainz's, and we'll see how free practice goes. So we'll let the drivers head out then into free practice. I apologise as well throughout the first couple of videos. A massive thank you to all of you guys that have been commenting down below. We can actually do team orders. You've just got to click on the driver's profile picture there. So we can go, don't fight teammate or hold cars behind. So that's reassuring as we head into Imola this weekend, because I would hate for anything to happen between our 2 drivers here. Of course, it hasn't meant we've tripped over each other a couple of times in the past. But yeah, this is the first video I've actually done since the first race went live from Bahrain and, of course, Saudi Arabia. So a massive thank you to all of you for just the insane support on those first couple of videos. You know, we've ticked over 80k now, well on our way towards 90,000 subscribers. Of course, the big goal, 100k by the end of the year. So if you're still new around here and you're not already subscribed, please do consider doing so. But yeah, I mean, both drivers are pretty happy with the car now. I guess, obviously, it's just about trying to get them used to the circuit this weekend. Of course, Imola, yeah, back on the calendar, seemingly out of nowhere, but I'm not going to complain. You know, I've been to this track in real life for the 2022 Grand Prix. Hopefully we can manage Ferrari a little bit better than they got on that weekend where things started to unravel. So yeah, just fast forwarding our way through free practice, then learning a few more things. Like I said, it is just all thanks to you guys letting me know down in the comments below there. So we have got a lot more timing delta than I was ever aware of course, telemetry as well. So that should make things a whole lot easier when we get into qualifying. Of course, we can manage the gaps to the cars around us. But yeah, free practice though, like I said, you know, it's fairly sort of samey early on. What are the teams saying about the car? I'm struggling quite a lot with the car at the moment, so we might have to try a few different setup tweaks. So not confident with the setup is young Charles Leclerc. Right, well, there we go then, end of free practice, and Carlos Sainz fastest there by just 0.02 of a second over Charles Leclerc. Felt like we got some decent data and some good laps in. The only question I do have is, do we have a sprint race this weekend? I don't actually know. I've got to check the calendar before we jumped into this. So we might be jumping into more free practice sessions. We might be jumping straight into qualifying here from Imola. But yeah, Charles Leclerc, very, very impressive lap time. I did actually put him out on a set of medium tyres there. No one looking like they're going to be having grid penalties either this weekend. But yeah, good solid result from the team. Front row on the grid, hopefully on qualifying.
Here we are, back for more Formula 1 action as we prepare for qualifying. There are no more chances to practice this weekend. It gets serious from now on in, as our teams prepare to record their best lap times ahead of tomorrow's race. One good lap isn't enough to guarantee a strong position, with consistency absolutely essential for those looking to succeed. Strap yourselves in. This is Formula 1.
And there we go then, just as I worried, having a quick look at the final FP3 results. Sadly, we don't seem to have sprint racing in F1 Manager at the moment, but Max Verstappen fastest there, a 10th clear of Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz. It's going to take a mammoth effort here in qualifying if we want to try and jump the Dutchman. Of course, Red Bull seemingly just getting stronger and stronger each weekend at the moment, but Imola can be quite a difficult track to overtake on, so fingers crossed we can still try and put the cars right at the very front. We have had to make some last-minute setup changes to Carlos Sainz's car, so as Leclerc's going to go out for his first run here in Q1. Fingers crossed, you know, Sainz wasn't very happy with the top-end speed of the car, so I've had to make, like I said, a few tweaks just to see if we can help him out a little bit. But Charles Leclerc, I'm going to try not to feature too much of Q1 and Q2 anymore. Of course, we should be making it into Q3 quite comfortably each week. Of course, it's just about trying to make sure you don't get held up behind the AI. So yeah, fingers crossed Leclerc's going to be able to put this thing immediately fastest, and that should see him into Q2. I'm riding on board then through the final corners here with Charles Leclerc. Purple through Sector 1, purple through Sector 2, up towards the start-finish line. Is this going to be down into the 115s? Yes, it is, a 115.3. That should be Leclerc comfortably into Q2, then 1.1 seconds clear of Ocon. And let's be fair, those Alpines are normally right on the cusp of Q3. Right, a little bit worried about Carlos Sainz. Like I said, we've had to make quite a few setup tweaks ready for him to jump into qualifying today. You know, this could work one way or the other. Either suddenly Sainz is a whole lot quicker and he could be in for a blistering weekend, or he might just have to slot into the number 2 role once more there as he heads through the Tamburello chicane for his first flying lap. Again, looks like we've got pretty clear track space ahead of him. We have just got one of the Red Bulls of Sergio Perez in the way. It's through the Gilles Villeneuve chicane Carlos Sainz goes. Let's just ride on board there. Wave to myself up through Tosa. And as we head up the hill then, yeah, fingers crossed that Red Bull is going to get out of the way there before we get down in towards Aqua Minerali. That quick flick down through the fast left-hander there. As Sainz green through Sector 1, not bad there. As Sergio Perez still staying just about far enough in front of Carlos Sainz. There struggles a little bit to put the power down out of Aqua Minerali there. And luckily for us, Perez does get out of the way. So clearly the AI getting slightly better there. Or it takes a lot of curb through the second part of the chicane. But Carlos Sainz then down in towards the final couple of quarters of his first Q1 run. Like I said, I'm hoping we can just get both cars through on a single run there. Perez a long way off the pace, so he's certainly going to have to go for another run in his Red Bull. But here comes Carlos Sainz then up towards the checkered flag. Is it going to be into Q2 comfortably? It is only a high 15, half a second away from Leclerc, but that should be good enough nonetheless. Well, there we are then, final Q1 results, and Charles Leclerc is fastest there, just under 2 tenths ahead of Max Verstappen. Neither Red Bull, though, able to get a particularly good running in Q1 there, but unfortunate for Carlos Sainz, I just don't quite think we've been able to take the setup quite the way either of us would have wanted there. Sainz might be set to struggle this weekend, so Leclerc might have to try and defend the Red Bulls for himself, but yeah, let's get into Q2. So again then, heading into Q2 as Charles Leclerc rumbles his way down in towards turn 1. They're the first heavy braking zone of the lap. Like I said, I'm hoping really that both drivers should just be able to comfortably get through again on a single run there. Looks like they have both got nice clear track space as well, of course. That is really the difficult challenge still on F1 Manager, just trying to find real estate to allow them to go for their runs. As Leclerc again purple in Sector 1. We'll just monitor the gaps to Carlos Sainz, see how much time he is losing through which sectors as well that he is losing that time. But fingers crossed we should see them nicely through. I mean, look at that. Through Sector 1, Sainz, 1,000th of a second away from Charles Leclerc there. Leclerc sets a 26.2 though in the middle sector. How close will Sainz be able to get to that? As we're going to ride on board with Charles Leclerc down in towards the final corner of the lap. We'll keep Sainz's data just up on the corner of my eye as well. As let's have a look then. Charles Leclerc nice and tidy through the penultimate corner. Again, Sainz not far away though as we head through the final couple of corners. Clearly getting more and more confident with that setup as Leclerc again straight down into the low 1 minute 15s. Sainz will just see what he's doing as we head down in towards the final couple of corners there. He's only a 10th down in Sector 2 as well here, so it might just be Sector 3 that Sainz is losing a bit more time to Charles Leclerc. But out of the final corner, up towards the checkered flag, what's Sainz going to do? That time around, he does improve. He goes a whole lot closer, just a 10th away there. So maybe just a bit of a Q1 scare for Carlos. And there we go then, Q2 done and dusted there. And yeah, very, very pleased to see Sainz a whole lot closer to Charles. But Max Verstappen again, only a 10th away there in P3. Luckily, we have got one extra set of the soft compound tyres to take into Q3 with us over Red Bull. And I mean, Sergio Perez still only 2 tenths away. It is all still to play for as we get into Q3 here from Imola. Right, here we go then into Q3. Carlos Sainz, first man, about to start a lap. We've been fastest in Q1, and Q2 with Charles Leclerc. Maybe Carlos Sainz can upset his party as we head into Q3 there as well in the Alpha Tower as Pierre Gasly peels out of the pit lane just behind. Fingers crossed he won't hold up Charles Leclerc a little bit further back, but we'll try and ride on board then with Carlos Sainz. Of course, a lot of the focus so far this weekend has been on championship leader Charles Leclerc, but remember, of course, Sainz has had a win so far this year there as he goes purple through the first sector. I'm hoping Leclerc doesn't get held up behind the Alpha Tauri there. Gasly, I think, might just have got in the way, but still Leclerc able to go purple through the first sector. But I think now, heading through Tosa there, having to try and go around the outside of another car is never going to do you any favours, as here comes Carlos Sainz then, down through Aqua Minerali there, gets a nice run off the corner as well as you head back up the hill there. Of course, now trying to line yourself up, ready for the quick left-right through the chicane. I've really got to try and attack the curbs as best as possible, which Sainz there again deals with very, very well there. You can see Sainz currently purple in Sector 2. Did Leclerc lose time? Yes, he did, but only a couple of tenths of a second through Sector 2 there. So it is all still to play for as they head down round through the final couple of corners here. Will Carlos Sainz be able to improve and maybe dip down into the 1 minute 15.3s? He can't just yet. I don't think there are 1:15.4. What time will Leclerc do as he heads up to the line? I think it's a 15.6 for Charles Leclerc. They're a couple of tenths away, but that means Red Bull have certainly got a golden opportunity, at least at the end of the first runs, to really get into pole position for perhaps the first time this year, as Max Verstappen there can't quite go quicker, 65 thousandths away. Well, here we go then, final run time here from Imola. We've still got a minute left on the clock, but Charles Leclerc about to start his last lap here, currently down in P3, but could we see Verstappen or Carlos Sainz improve as well? There, Charles Leclerc is going to have clear track space in front of him as he heads over the start-finish line, about to start his last lap here from Imola. 8th gear as you head down the long, long run towards turn 1. They want to be spotting the braking zone as you try and get the car as far over to the right-hand side there. Chuck the car through the left and then through the right there, and then very, very easy just to run a little bit wide on the exit of Tamburello there. Into the Gilles Villeneuve chicane, a quick flick through the first part and then down a couple of extra gears through the second. And Leclerc, he's purple again. Charles Leclerc, we've seen it so often this year, is able just to find the time right on the final runs there. Sainz is improving as well though. He's gone green through Sector 1, but of course the other question is, what is Max Verstappen doing in his Red Bull there, over the top of the hill, down in towards Aqua Minerale for Charles Leclerc? It looks like a pretty tidy lap so far, and how many times this year have we seen Charles Leclerc on the back foot after the first runs in Q3 there, and still able to put it on pole position? He's purple again through Sector 2. This has often been the part of the track where Sainz is stronger, but at the moment, Sainz hasn't got anything he can do against Charles Leclerc there. Down in towards the final couple of corners then. It's two tricky 90-degree left-handers with no room for error on the exit of either there. Charles Leclerc, cool, calm and composed as he heads out of the final corner up towards the start-finish line. What time will Charles Leclerc do? It is going to be a 15.3, and he does jump up onto pole position then for this Grand Prix there. Sainz does improve, but is only able to go a tenth behind him. What is Verstappen going to be able to do? Up towards the flag, Verstappen stays in at P3 there, just a tenth and a half, covering the top 3. But for the second weekend in a row, unless Sergio Perez can cause a major upset here as he heads up towards the line, it looks like it is going to be a Ferrari front row lockout at our home Grand Prix there. Perez does improve 3 tenths off at the end of the session there, but back-to-back front row lockouts for the team. 4 pole positions in a row for Charles Leclerc. No one can stop this man on 1 lap pace there, and that was the perfect start to the weekend. And there we go then, confirmation at the end of the session there. Charles Leclerc, the only man able to get down into the 1:15.3s, and he did it in every single session there. Goes to show just how cool, calm and composed he was. Sainz as well, you know, like I said, I was a little bit worried about him after Q1 there, but did a fantastic job to try and get back onto the front row of the grid there, you know, just pushing Verstappen a little bit further behind. But of course, in 2021, Verstappen went from 3rd to win this Grand Prix. There's nothing stopping him trying to do it today as well. Of course, he started 3rd last weekend and almost got the race victory there. Let's get into it then here for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. This channel is proudly sponsored by Bybit, the official crypto partner of Red Bull's Formula 1 team. I've been using their platform for my personal crypto savings over the last few months, and when they got in touch to support the channel, I was super excited. Currently, they're offering you guys a special new promo for the first 100 of you to deposit $10 or more onto the platform. You'll get another $10 free. Also, 5 lucky winners will get their initial deposit doubled up to $1,000. That means if you deposited $1,000 onto the platform using my codes below, you could be within a chance to get another $1,000 completely free. We've seen the landscape around crypto drastically change over the last couple of years, and I genuinely believe it holds an important place in our future. However, please be careful as always when trading, as you are liable to lose money. But if you're interested and you're 18 or older, click the link down below to get started and see why Red Bull and myself, as well as thousands of others, trust Bybit as their crypto.
The time has come to fight it out. It's race day.
Ferrari performed brilliantly during qualifying and will be very pleased with their grid positions. But the challenge for them will be to keep the momentum going during the race. This weekend, Red Bull displayed real promise during qualifying, but will they fulfill that potential by the time they reach the checkered flag? And the sky is looking grey and cloudy today. An effective tyre strategy could prove very valuable as the race plays out.
And seeing it all come together is sure to be a thrill. An exciting race ahead for us here at the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix.
Right, well here we are then, down on the trackside here at Imola. In terms of race strategy today though, team want us to start on a set of soft compound tyres there. Luckily we did actually save a set for both drivers there at the end of qualifying yesterday. So maybe it is going to be possible actually to try and go super aggressive early on in terms of strategy here. Could we try a one-stop soft to hard? That's what I'm thinking at the moment there. We'll try and take those tyres to about lap 21. We'll do about 1/3 distance on the softs and then try and see us through to the checkered flag there. That's what I'm going to go with on Charles Leclerc's car, as it always helps if I actually save that strategy, doesn't it, Matt? Well done. Back up to lap 21 we go. Create strategy D. That's what we're going to go with Charles Leclerc there. Sainz, though, I'm going to stick to a more conventional route there. We're going to try and take him on the mediums to about lap 24, lap 25. So we are going to split our eggs this weekend in the Ferrari basket. But, you know, now we know we can just tell Sainz to sit behind Charles early on. Hopefully we can see Charles Leclerc make a bit of a breakaway and Sainz can try and keep Verstappen at bay. If he can't, then we might be screwed.
It's a bit of a cloudy day for the race, but the atmosphere, as ever, is electric. And there's Charles Leclerc. They're in pole position, and they've got to be happy about that. And further back, there's Sainz. After an impressive qualifying performance, they're starting today just behind pole. Will their hard work pay off today? All eyes are on the race here at the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. It's lights out, and away we go.
Well, here we go then. Start of the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. And it looks like Leclerc, as you'd hope for, has had a brilliant start there. But Sainz might already be under pressure from Verstappen as we head down in towards turn 1. Looks like he isn't going to be under too much pressure early on there, as immediately we're going to try and set themselves up so Carlos Sainz doesn't try to fight with Charles Leclerc through the first couple of corners. But immediately Leclerc seemingly struggling just a little bit there as we head through the first couple of turns. Further back down the order though, Verstappen still P3 ahead of Perez and both Mercedes there. Bottas ahead of Alonso Ocon and Pierre Gasly. So it doesn't look like we've seen any movement inside the top 10 there. So we've got cars 2-3 wide further back there. I think that's Daniel Ricciardo for just a moment there was side by side with Mick Schumacher. Seems like he's slotted back up into P15 there. Of course, Ricciardo leaving McLaren at the end of real life 2022, but Sainz still all over the back of Charles here early on in the race, as it is just that fine balance between allowing Leclerc to push on those soft compound tyres. So I think early on we've got to let him go for it at the start of this race there. See if he can try and build up a 1 second gap over his teammate Carlos Sainz just behind him. So that's what I'm going to try and do here. 63 laps ahead of us around Imola today, of course, will be probably the longest race we've had in terms of time so far on F1 Manager, of course, just because of the nature of the lower speed circuit. But in terms of tyre strategy then, we have seemingly got a little bit of variation across the whole field then. Leclerc, Norris, Tsunoda, Vettel, Mick Schumacher and Albon all on the soft compound tyres there. Then you've got Sainz, Verstappen, Russell, Gasly, Ricciardo, Stroll and Latifi on the mediums. And then, of course, yeah, we have got everyone else on the hard. So quite a diverse split strategy here today. No one really quite knows what to do at the start of the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, as hopefully Leclerc is immediately going to try and get his teammate Carlos Sainz out of DRS range. So there we go with that. I wonder if it was just Charles Leclerc struggling to get his tyres up to temperature at the start, because now he is comfortably building up a gap over Carlos Sainz behind him there, and this is exactly what we need early on in the afternoon. Like I said, you know, Leclerc really pushing, and by the end of lap 2, he's already built up a 2-second margin over Carlos. Just going to tell him just to tone it back slightly there. You know, the pace has been very good at the start, as here comes Max Verstappen on Carlos Sainz. I've told Sainz to try and be defensive from the Dutchman here. Is Max going to be able to get a run, though, as we head back down towards turn 1? Not this time round. Carlos Sainz even will hang on down at turn 1 there. Brilliant defending from the Spaniard. But yeah, we just need Leclerc to try and break away at the front and hope that Sainz can keep the two Red Bulls at bay. As we start lap 4 then of this race, I think Sergio Perez might have the best seat in the house here, as here comes Max Verstappen again on Carlos Sainz there. Can't quite seem to get the run. Is Perez going to potentially be able to get involved in this one, or has he been told just to sit behind Verstappen and act as the rear gunner here? Looks like we have still got very, very strong straight line speed in towards the first corner, which is making it difficult for Max Verstappen. But look at the gap Leclerc's able to pull out at the front of the field there. It's 5 seconds already. He's completely checked out at the front of this race. As, I mean, this is working out nicely for Perez, of course, on those hard tyres. But, I mean, Sainz is causing an absolute traffic jam at the moment. I might try and let him just push a little bit more. But, yeah, I mean, even the Mercedes, even Bottas, Alonso and Ocon are able to stick right with these guys. So Sainz is doing a fantastic job there, as we've got a crash out on the circuit. Someone's had an issue. Hopefully we're going to replay of who that was in just a second. I think it was Sebastian Vettel. And yes, it was. Let's have a look. What did Seb do down at Tosa? Did he just loop it round by himself? Was there contact with his teammate Lance Stroll there? Big, big lockup for Sebastian Vettel's second potential DNF of the year there. And well, if he'd done that in real life, I would have had a brilliant view of it. But Seb, yeah, with issues, and that's going to leave him a long way off the rear of the field. Just making sure Carlos has got enough to defend himself from Max Verstappen as they romp down in towards turn 1 once again there. And again, Sainz just seems to be able to position his car in such a way that forces Verstappen to the outside. But it seems like we've got slightly better top-end speed still over those Red Bulls here, and that is critical early on in this race. But yeah, Charles Leclerc at the front is just controlling the pace. We've left the gap now at about 5 seconds. You know, we don't really need to watch him do qualifying laps early on. He just needed that gap and now can try and focus on looking after the tyres. Oh no, George Russell ran wide down at turn 2. What on earth happened to the Mercedes, man? Oh, just hopped over those curbs there. Doesn't look like he really lost anything from that, so George Russell not making a similar mistake to what he did last weekend. But Mercedes still not happy with it. I'm guessing he's damaged the floor in that moment there, which might cause them a few issues later on in the day. But yeah, just watching Sainz at the moment, gap to Leclerc is coming down slightly, as he's certainly used a bit too much battery. Perhaps that's why the gap had come down as much as it did. Leclerc as well has got no battery either, so we're going to have to get them both to try and harvest for a little bit. But that might leave Sainz vulnerable to Verstappen again. Every time he just seems to have enough down at turn 1 there is a huge shower of sparks fly off the back of the Ferrari. And they're still just watching Carlos Sainz head round the circuit here, trying to keep those Red Bulls at bay. He is doing a fantastic job early on here, as now we've sort of let everything calm down a bit. Here comes Max Verstappen, though, to the inside on the run down towards turn 1 there. As we start lap 10, Verstappen is going to be able to get the run on Carlos there. Will Sergio Perez be able to follow him by? Not quite this time round, as I think Verstappen has been told to get a hurry up there, because of course Leclerc has built up such an advantage early on. But yeah, Max Verstappen now up into P2 then of the Grand Prix. I'm just a little bit worried Sainz hasn't quite got enough to try and do anything at this stage of the day. But the other big concern I've got is, of course, Leclerc. He's got to keep desperately trying to build up a gap there. I want him to try and be out ahead of Valtteri Bottas in his Alfa Romeo, but that is going to mean he's probably going to need at least a 20-second gap to the fin there. Probably slightly more, of course, because Imola's pit lane is not only very long, but also very slow. As yeah, I think Sainz might have just done a bit too much defending early on here, as Sergio Perez 1 lap later going to try and have a look round the outside of the Spaniard as we head back down in towards turn 1. Will Perez be able to hook up the move around the outside? I don't think he will. Sainz and him will give each other the room as they head through turn 1 there. Perez still trying to look around the outside, but has to back out of it on the exit of the corner. As Verstappen, I think again he might just have a little bit too much pace for Carlos Sainz to be able to contend with here. But neither of them really closing in on Charles Leclerc as the gap opens up to 5.5 seconds. Leclerc at the front of the field here. We'll just ride on board with him for just a second. He is doing everything he needs to, and he's doing it perfectly. So there we go then. Leclerc just navigates his way around Sebastian Vettel as we're getting towards 1/4 distance here in Imola. And I mean, what a start it's been for Charles Leclerc. Like I said, it all could still go a bit pear-shaped if he gets held up in some slower traffic when he makes the move onto the hard tyres. But tyre wear's not looking too badly on his Ferrari there. What percentage is he up to in terms of tyre wear? 60% still, so we could probably go to about lap 25 if he really wanted. But yeah, as soon as he starts losing a bit of time to Verstappen, we'll probably try and get him into the pit lane there. Gap to Bottas has opened up to 20 seconds, and Charles Leclerc is just driving like a man on a mission this weekend at the moment. I'm just getting the sense he doesn't want anyone else to even have a look at going fastest here. He just wants to walk away with a race victory, and at our home race, I will absolutely take it. As I'm just going to try and get Carlos Sainz a bit closer to Max Verstappen again over these next couple of laps. The only thing I'm thinking, of course, is when we do have to try and navigate Sebastian Vettel, because it looks like Alex Albon now has ended up a lap down as well in this race. If we can be right behind Max, then maybe he might lose a bit of time there, and Sainz can try and inherit P2 once more. So yeah, just trying to see if we can close down that gap, as here is Sebastian Vettel just in front of us. Seb does jump out of the way for the Dutchman. Will he get out of the way for Sainz as well? No, he won't. Sebastian Vettel just sits in the way there on the exit of the corner. But again, the Dutchman hasn't got away too easily at the moment, as there peels off Sebastian Vettel once more. And luckily, I completely blocked Sergio Perez, so that does help us out a little bit. As can we now get Sainz to go for a bit of a run on Max Verstappen out of the final corner there. He's going to get one shot at this before he's going to have to try and start saving battery again, as it looks like the gap at the front of the field has all but stagnated for Charles Leclerc. But here comes Carlos Sainz on the run back down towards turn 1 there. Can he have a look on Max Verstappen there? He's going to try and get to the inside of the Dutchman. It's a power move, and they're still side by side as they head through turn 2 and through the exit of Tamburello there. But Sainz back up into P2 then of the Grand Prix there, trying to capitalise on a small issue for Max Verstappen there. And Sebastian Vettel, former Ferrari driver, really did help us out in that instance. Right, so as we get towards 1/3 distance then in this race, team are now discussing about whether we should bring Charles Leclerc into the pit lane here, as I definitely am going to need to harvest on Carlos Sainz's car. I think Verstappen, this is going to be a done deal by the time we get back down in towards turn 1 there. Verstappen to the outside, down in towards that first corner. No, again, Sainz able to hang on from Max Verstappen there and keep hold of P2 in this race. This is fantastic driving from Carlos there, as Perez just drops back ever so slightly on his hard compound tyres. But yeah, I think we are going to have to get Leclerc in quite soon in this race. Maybe lap 23, lap 24, like I said. But yeah, the real question, of course, is going to be whether he's going to lose much time over the pit cycle, or, of course, whether he's going to lose time being on older hards towards the end. That's what we were banking on him not losing much, of course, starting on those soft tyres. Right, it's lap 23 then. The team already talking about trying to get Carlos into the pit lane quite soon. So we are going to pit Charles Leclerc now then onto a fresh set of the hard compound tyres to hopefully see him through to the checkered flag there. I mean, Sainz is doing really well still on his tyres, so we can certainly try and extend that stint for as long as possible there. The AI don't seem to really be able to switch on the hards as early as I would like there, so maybe, you know, Leclerc could still be under a little bit of pressure from Sainz there, but near enough a 10-second lead at 1/3 distance here. It really has been a fantastic display from Charles Leclerc early on this afternoon there. Like we said, we did take a bit of a strategy gamble. It could still go all pear-shaped for us later on in the afternoon. But yeah, Sainz, of course, therefore will inherit the lead of the race. We'll just ride on board with Charles, make sure he gets a nice, clean, tidy stop there. As I love some of the photo shots you get on F1 Manager there. Charles Leclerc, nice, clean, tidy, 1.6 seconds, as Sainz now will inherit the lead of the Grand Prix. He's still got Verstappen stuck to his gearbox as they head back down in towards turn 1 there. But Sainz again, this Ferrari car so quick down the straight. He's just about got enough there, as where will Leclerc re-emerge in this race? Luckily, he's ahead of Sebastian Vettel and a long way ahead of Bottas, and that whole gaggle that I knew we had to jump. Oh, there we go. I was just trying to fast forward the next couple of laps, see what was going on there, and Verstappen has pit and has come out in some dirty air there by the looks of it, a couple of seconds away from Ocon and Bottas. I think they're both on hard compound tyres as well, so Verstappen could be in for a world of hurt here. Red Bull might have done the Ferrari strategies. You can see Alonso, Bottas and Ocon all line astern there, and I think this must have been a group of cars that we want to try and get Sainz out ahead of. But Verstappen, yeah, that is not a wise pit choice, in my opinion. As Charles Leclerc is just letting the timing screens alight at the moment, is on to lap 28. Almost at the halfway stage of this race now. I'm just trying to make sure Sainz even, he's going to come out ahead of Bottas and that whole gaggle there, because Max Verstappen, he's jumped Ocon, made light work of the Alpine, but is still getting a little bit stuck with the rest of those runners there. I say that, and I think he actually got held up behind one of the Williams there, so Verstappen having an absolute nightmare of it at the moment, trying to get around all these slower cars, and surely Sainz is going to re-emerge way ahead of the Red Bull man when he does finally box. In fact, we might do it quite soon then in this race there. Carlos Sainz, as he heads down through Aqua Minerale, he should be out around, he should be ahead of Valtteri Bottas when he does come into the pit lane there. So we're going to try and box him in at the end of this lap then. Carlos Sainz, this could be a big moment in the Grand Prix there, because it could mean we're pretty comfortable 1 and 2 here. So we just need to focus on making sure Charles Leclerc saves some fuel later on in the afternoon. But like I said, we took a big gamble here. We're not even at the halfway stage of the race still, but things are looking very good down at Ferrari camp there. As you can just see, Sainz peels into the pit lane at the end of lap 28. He hasn't quite gone as long as I would have wanted to on those medium tyres, but we may as well just try and guarantee that we get no issues with graining later on in the stint, and that he does come out in clear air there, because I mean, he's been able to do half a race on those mediums. Surely he's going to comfortably be able to do half a race on the hards towards the end. As here comes Charles Leclerc, tucked into the slipstream of Lewis Hamilton as we start lap 29 there. Here comes Carlos Sainz, though, heading back out of the pit lane. He's going to be quite close, I think, with the Aston Martin of Vettel on pit exit there, but look how far ahead he is of those cars behind there. Fingers crossed Seb just sits in behind him. Yes, he does, and that has worked out beautifully for Carlos Sainz. Verstappen still stuck behind Ocon, Alonso and Valtteri Bottas, and Sainz now nearly 4 seconds ahead of the Red Bull, and surely that gap is going to continue to open up. Perez might even be able to take P3 from his teammate. We're just going to allow Charles Leclerc at the end of lap 29, just to try and push to make sure he gets around Hamilton all nice and tidy there. Hopefully this should be a nice done deal on the Mercedes. Of course, this Ferrari, so much top-end speed there around the outside of Lewis Hamilton. He goes there, nice simple textbook move. We're slowly getting more and more used to things on F1 Manager. And I mean, Hamilton, yeah, on that older set of tyres, of course, knows it's not really a battle that he should be getting himself involved in there. So Leclerc will move up into P2 once more. It is just a case of when is Checo going to pit so we can re-inherit the lead of the race. But Sainz as well, yeah, comfortably in P4. Well, there we go then. Starting lap 39, Charles Leclerc, another new fastest lap of the day, as the gap to Sergio Perez is starting to come down at this stage of the race. Not by a lot, you know, we're just comfortably letting him get on with it there, as Sainz now, I mean, Verstappen is still stuck behind those two Alpine cars. It's like watching Hamilton in real life 2022 when he got stuck. I think it was behind Alex Albon, wasn't it, throughout a lot of the afternoon. But the Alpines just keep fighting each other, and Verstappen, he can't do anything there as Alonso re-jumps Ocon. Is this what El Plan was all about from the very beginning there? No one really knows at the moment, but whatever's going on, it is working for us there. Maybe, you know, we paid off Alpine this weekend just to give us a helping hand, but Verstappen has been well and truly screwed there. Red Bull, apparently the clown show, not Ferrari. The only thing I am getting a little bit worried about here is less than 20 to go now of the race. Sergio Perez still hasn't boxed in that Red Bull there. I think pretty much everyone else has pit now. We've got Hamilton, Alonso. We've still got a couple of cars kicking out and about there. But yeah, Perez going very deep into this race. So I think Hamilton now has just been jumped by Carlos Sainz there. So we are back up at a 2-3 in this race. We should be comfortably ahead of Perez when, of course, he does finally pit there. I mean, yeah, Sainz only 10 seconds back. But yeah, Perez going very long there. Of course, the tyre whisperer. Let's have a quick look of the view then of the overtake from Carlos Sainz. They're pretty much a carbon copy of what his teammate Leclerc was able to do a few laps ago. And Hamilton, yeah, just understands, you know, appreciates it's not a battle he should get himself involved in there. But Ferrari, we love that. Been a crash in Sector 1. Someone's had issues on lap 45. I'm just praying for no safety car here, because this could really help Perez out in this Grand Prix. Alonso, what's Alonso done? Has he done a similar thing to Sebastian Vettel earlier on down at Tosa? Is it a big lock-up for Fernando Alonso? Yes, it is. And Alonso, after running so well in the points for so much of the afternoon, that is a big shunt there. Not too sure how the AI are able to keep it and sort of get it back out of those barriers, as we'll just get Sainz just to hold back slightly, make sure we're comfortable on both cars on the fuel. But yeah, the gap to the Perez now down to 2 seconds. Leclerc might get past him before Perez even decides to pit. There we go then, Sergio Perez finally into the pits then with just 16 to go of this race. He's basically done 3/4 of the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix there, but just confirmation for ourselves, Leclerc will be back up into the lead then of this race. Sainz will inherit P2 once more, and I think, yeah, the real question, of course, is, will Perez now be ahead of Max Verstappen as well. Now, surely he is. Hamilton might have even got the jump on Max Verstappen. The rate this race is going at the moment here is where is the Dutchman heading down through the final couple of corners here. It could be quite close actually on pit exit. Here comes Lewis Hamilton out of the pit lane here. Bottas, of course, will dive in. Max Verstappen now has finally been unleashed after spending so much of this race in dirty air there. But no, Hamilton can't quite get ahead of the Dutchman there. George Russell is going to slot out right behind his teammate as well. But Lewis is still going to be fast towards the checkered flag here. But at the front of the field, we've got 15 laps to go, and we are currently just controlling the pace. Oh, Ricciardo lock-up down at turn 12 there. Daniel Ricciardo not having fun here at Imola. Big lock-up as he heads down in towards the chicane there. Has to hop over the grass and just decides he's going to sit there and have a bit of a picnic for a moment. As Sainz still is setting fastest lap after fastest lap at the moment. The gap to Charles Leclerc down to 5 seconds late on in the day. I mean, they're both still looking pretty close on fuel. I mean, we've got 13 seconds to Sergio Perez behind, but do we let Sainz have a fair shot at trying to get a bit closer to Charles Leclerc by the end? I guess we're just going to sort of let them both see how it plays out. But Leclerc, I mean, he has controlled this race from the very beginning. I don't think Sainz is going to get close enough by the end, but you never really know in Formula 1. There's just watching some other battles then out on the circuit. George Russell and Lewis Hamilton still in pursuit of P5 here, as it looks like Mercedes have been comfortably better than Valtteri Bottas this weekend. But here comes George Russell on Lewis Hamilton as we head down towards turn 1 there. I wonder if he's just being told just to hold back for now, as again Russell has a look around the outside of the first corner. But into the final 10 laps of this Grand Prix, Sainz just seems to have comfortably settled in 5 seconds behind Leclerc, as I think, yeah, he just had a bit of a tyre wear advantage for a long time. But I think now it is looking like Leclerc might make it 3 wins in the first 4 Grand Prix. Well, here we are then, starting the final lap of the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, and what a weekend it has been from Charles Leclerc there. Plenty of questions were raised last time out whether Red Bull now had the pace to fight right at the very front there, but a bit of a poor strategy by them combined with a fantastic strategy call by us, and Charles Leclerc with some brilliant tyre management as well, means he's going to be starting the final lap of the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix here with a solid 5-second lead over his teammate Carlos Sainz. Of course, like we said, Max Verstappen last weekend at Albert Park was rapid, absolutely rapid there, and almost got Red Bull's first win of the year, and I'm sure they were trying to build on the high from that one as we went into Imola today. But Charles Leclerc up the hill for the final time here at Imola. Of course, this was the weekend I'm sure the Tifosi would have wanted in real life at the start of the 2022 season. Of course, Sainz got taken out down at turn 1. Leclerc then made a mistake and finished P7 that afternoon in real life. But this time, there's going to be no such dramatics here for Ferrari. This is what you need. You know, Ferrari, if you're watching this, hire me, bring me into the team. We'll get things sorted. We'll bring home the world title in 2023 there. But Charles Leclerc down the hill in for the final time of the Emilia-Romagna GP. I mean, Sainz, this is the closest anyone has really been to Leclerc since about lap 5 of this race there. Built up such an advantage early on. But through the final couple of corners then, Charles Leclerc, 3 wins out of the first 4 Grand Prix of the year. It's another 1-2 for Ferrari. Sergio Perez will come through for P3 in the end there for his first podium of the season. But Leclerc absolutely dominated.
That's Leclerc! Charles Leclerc is today's winner. Let's have a look. Charles Leclerc there, taking home the win.
What an achievement! Sometimes you take the incredible skill of these drivers for granted, but not today.
And there we go then, having a look at the rest of your running order there. Charles Leclerc takes the win, 4.6 seconds ahead of Carlos Sainz there. Carlos, I'm sure, a little bit gutted that he couldn't win this one, but he did absolutely play the team game early on. And I mean, yeah, fantastic pace by him to come through for P2 in the end there, so comfortably ahead of Perez. Disappointing day for Max Verstappen. I'm sure he won't be happy with Red Bull pitting him out into all that traffic there. Hamilton does hang on ahead of George Russell for P5 there, with a Russell in 6th, and it looks like it is going to be Bottas, Ocon, Alonso, and obviously Kevin Magnussen with Haas there rounding out the top 10. Ricciardo and Norris just miss out on points. They're ahead of both the AlphaTauri, Zhou Guanyu, Mick Schumacher, and then we've got both Aston Martins and both Williams 2 laps down there. Seb, despite all the issues early on, recovering to P18, but yeah, what a weekend for Ferrari once more there. Our first 1-2 since obviously round 2 of the year. It was only the one race we missed out on it, but yeah, brilliant, brilliant display by the team once more, and did everything we could have asked.
Well, this was definitely Charles Leclerc's weekend. Everyone involved in Formula One dreams of seeing their driver up there on the podium. And the Monegasque driver certainly proved his worth with a terrific drive today. But there we see the three drivers with the biggest haul of points. And of course, the silverware to boot. Ferrari had a very good race, proving they're definitely a team to contend with.
Yep, they managed to bring everything together. Strategy, engineering and driving. They've had a very strong weekend indeed.
After an intense weekend, the team ends in first place in the constructor standings.
Coming up next, the teams will be taking a trip to the Sunshine State. The Hard Rock Stadium is laying down the track for a captivating race at the Miami Grand Prix.
Well, there we are then, official confirmation at the end of the weekend there. Charles Leclerc, pole position, race victory, didn't quite get fastest lap, but yeah, another dominant display. Like I said, it really looked like Leclerc this weekend had no intention of letting anyone else even get a look in at the race victory there. Just walked away at the start and yeah, never really looked back there. Sainz, like I said, you know, he did a fantastic job. He made that possible by being so good defending early on in the afternoon there to come through and still walk away with a safe, nice, easy P2. Perez in third place there, like we said, his first podium of the year, gets the fastest lap bonus point as well on the alternate strategy down at Red Bull. And like we said, yeah, Verstappen, I'm sure, not happy with that result there. Having a look down the rest of the order, Ocon did gain the one place over Alonso. K-Mag and Ricciardo both up 3 spots there, making good overtakes as well, as it looks like the AlphaTauri of Gasly, as Zhou Guanyu and his Alfa Romeo both couldn't quite perform the way they would have wanted there. But I mean, look at that, the top of the championship, first and second still now, with a 20-point lead between them and another 16 ahead of Max Verstappen there. George Russell back up into P6 ahead of Valtteri Bottas. Esteban Ocon now with a good solid haul of points again, now up into 8th place ahead of Gasly and Fernando Alonso. Lando Norris, of course, got his first points last weekend, drops back down into 11th. No other movers in the Drivers' Championship. Constructors-wise, though, again, we're just building up that gap early on in the year. They're 60 points clear now off Red Bull, even after the opening 4 races of the year. It has been an absolutely dominant display early on in the campaign. Of course, Haas getting their 2nd points of the year on the board. They're just building up a little margin of safety from Aston Martin and Williams behind them as well. But thank you all so much for watching this video. We're 4 from 4 so far in this F1 Manager career mode, but I'm sure, you know, Miami next weekend, that's going to be very, very interesting once we start getting some changeable conditions in races as well. I'm sure things are going to get very, very spicy. It's certainly not going to be plain sailing throughout the entirety of this campaign, but thank you all so much for watching, and we'll be back very, very soon with more F1 Manager 22. None of these videos would be possible without the help of our channel members, so a massive thank you to all of the names you see on your screens currently for helping support the channel. You can join them by clicking the join button down below, and yeah, thank you once again to everyone that continues all the insane support on my work.